My whole world just collapsed at that moment. I was like a walking time bomb. I really began to feel there's a missing piece to this puzzle, and I have to find it.
Welcome to Diagnose This, where future doctors come to think differently so you don't miss what others did. In this series, you'll explore real patient cases that stumped even experienced physicians. As you watch, focus on how the patient is described. Remember, on your exams, you won't see the patient, you'll read the vignette. So train your mind to visualize, connect the dots, and think clinically. Grab your notes, sharpen your instincts, and let's see if you can diagnose this.
But Liz Holzheimer's problems didn't start until she and her husband Mark, a professional baseball player, decided that it was time to start a little league of their own.
I was 30 years old at the time, and I happily flushed my last packet of birth control pills down the toilet, and I thought, if it's anything like teachers tell you in high school, I should be pregnant in no time. But it just seemed like month after month went by, and I still hadn't had a period.
Concerned, Liz finally makes an appointment with her gynecologist, Dr. Rhonda McVeigh, who runs a blood test to check Liz's hormone levels. When the tests come back normal, Dr. McVeigh encourages Liz to be patient.
It'll take the body a little while to get adjusted to being off the pill, to start having regular periods. In the scheme of things of trying to get pregnant, this isn't very long.
But as far as Liz is concerned, it can't happen fast enough.
I knew she was really wanting to get pregnant. I knew she was frustrated. The biological clock was really kicking in.
It was amazing how many of our friends were having kids. So, it's going to happen for us. It's going to happen at the right time. But after a while, it really started to affect her.
I was very anxious, and I remember Mark was on the road at that time, and he would call every night and ask me, well, how are you feeling? And I said, well, just keep your fingers crossed and hopefully it will work.
A few more months go by, and Liz still hasn't had a period. She goes back to Dr. McVeigh, who decides to inject her with the hormone progesterone to see if it can trigger ovulation.
What ovulation means is that an egg in a woman's ovary needs to mature to the point that it can be fertilized. And she was not doing that. She was not ovulating.
Dr. McVeigh also suggests Liz try an oral fertility drug to induce ovulation, but it has significant side effects, and Liz is not ready to take that step.
It was really frustrating not knowing what was going on with my body and why I couldn't become pregnant. It just didn't make sense. It seemed like the summer that everyone was having a baby, except for me.
The past year has felt like an eternity to Liz Holzheimer. She desperately wants to get pregnant, but has been told that she isn't ovulating. Now she's starting to wonder if the anxiety of it all is beginning to affect her physically.
If I got up too quickly, I'd have a dizzy spell, but I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I just thought, well, maybe it's the fact that I'm just really worried about trying to have a baby. So I just kind of kept it to the back of my mind and thought, well, I'm not going to worry about it right now.
But soon, Mark sees the warning signs with his own eyes.
We used to go see movies a lot, and when the show was over, we'd get up, and it was still dark in the theater, and she would always stumble. I really didn't think much of it, and I don't know if she thought much of it.
Gradually, the dizzy spells become more intense.
It was almost like if I were to have an acid trip, that's what it would be like. Just colors would become more vibrant and brilliant. If I looked at, trees in the backyard, it was almost as if the leaves would start to move and come to life. They would come on so quickly, and then as soon as the onset began, it was just over. And afterwards, I would just feel fatigued, and then it would just subside, and I thought, maybe it's just the stress, or I spent too much time being out in the sun today.
Then, suddenly, the hallucinations give way to excruciating headaches.
The headaches just knocked me down. I remember one evening where I just had the most excruciating migraine I had ever experienced in my life.
She had never had migraines before, and she could hardly raise her head, and it was really bothering her.
But because I never lost consciousness, I thought, well, it can't be that serious if, I haven't fallen over and collapsed.
But within weeks, Liz notices that she's changing mentally as well as physically.
I had no desire to get out of bed. I declined to go out with friends, and I knew just as well as they did that wasn't the Liz they knew, or I knew. Those feelings of depression really started to scare me.
Liz wasn't the happy person that she was when I first met her, and I was concerned about that change.
I remember meeting with a doctor, and I was given a prescription for an antidepressant, but it only made me feel worse.
Liz attributes the depression to her infertility and makes an appointment with her gynecologist. Dr. McVeigh orders a more in-depth examination of her uterus and fallopian tubes, as well as tests for Mark. When all the tests come back normal, Liz finally decides to try the oral fertility treatment.
After the oral fertility treatment failed, I just thought, what can it be?
At that point, I labeled her as unexplained infertility, and I referred her on to the fertility specialist.
Based on her previous test results, the fertility specialist diagnoses Liz with hypogonadotrophism.
He said, basically, Liz, your ovaries have prematurely shut down. Your best and only chance of having a child, save for adoption, is through in vitro. And I was just devastated with the news. I thought, how can this happen?
She wanted to see if there's anything else we could check into.
I really, really began to feel that there's a missing piece to this puzzle, and I have to find it.
In January of 2000, she came back, and I was actually just talking to her before the exam, and she says, you know, I've been really dizzy, I've been tired, I've been having these headaches.
I just said, is there any way we can have another test, you know, a CAT scan, an MRI?
After Liz and I discussed her dizziness and headaches, we decided it was time to move to some further studies.
2 days later, Liz has an MRI. She wonders if it will be just one more test that comes back normal.
The phone rang. All I heard on the other end was this even, gravelly voice saying, I have your MRI results. My heart just started pounding. This voice just continued, and it said, you have a meningioma. I'm like, a mini what? What is it? I opened up my nightstand drawer, and I pulled out a lip liner, and I just said, can you just tell me how to spell that? And he said, you have a brain tumor. My whole world just collapsed at that moment.
A meningioma is a common type of slow-growing brain tumor that is rarely cancerous. It forms in the dura, the membrane that covers the brain and the spinal cord. As a meningioma grows, it puts pressure on the brain. Depending on its location, it can cause anything from personality changes to motor difficulties.
Suddenly, I had a neurosurgeon, and I was going to meet him today.
Well, it was a tumor that measured 5 to 7 centimeters in diameter, so it was quite a large tumor.
I just remember Dr. Fulliger just illuminating images of my brain all around his office.
I said, holy is that the tumor? I can't believe that.
It had pressed my brain all the way to the other side.
The pressure on her brain was causing her dizziness, hallucinations, headaches, and depression. It was also pressing on Liz's pituitary gland, impairing the production of the hormones that cause ovulation.
He said it needs to come out, and it needs to come out as soon as it can.
The idea of brain surgery was horrifying. I literally did not know would I come out after surgery.
But Liz has no other choice. The tumor has to be removed.
It was February 10th, 2000, and I had to check into the hospital the night before my surgery.
I didn't really ever think that I was going to lose her until before they took her away. The last thing I said to her was, next time we're in the hospital, it'll be because we're having a baby.
And I just took those words with me as I was being wheeled away.
Liz Holzheimer has just discovered that the hallucinations, depression, and infertility she's suffering from have all been caused by a massive brain tumor.
Instead of having a baby grow inside of me, I have another growth, but it's in my head.
We didn't talk about pregnancy anymore. Our main focus was on that tumor and getting that out of her head.
Her only option is brain surgery.
So the goal of the surgery is to remove the tumor entirely. As the tumor gets larger, the technical aspects of removal of the tumor increase in difficulty. We make an incision and have to remove a sizable piece of the skull to access the tumor.
And I was a nervous wreck, I'm walking around, trying not to think about stuff. My whole family was there, Liz's family was there.
I think our anxiety was high, but his had to be so much higher.
It will take 12 grueling hours to try and remove the enormous tumor.
When I woke up, I was just elated. I was alive. They took it out and I survived.
Liz spends the next year recuperating.
It was the recovery. That for me, it was sheer hell. I was languishing on the couch and I just wanted to get back to my life the way that I had known it before.
A year and a half after her surgery, Liz goes in for a routine appointment with Dr. McVeigh.
At her annual exam visit, she mentioned that she had been having periods for 3 to 4 months, but the one that was due had not come.
And I felt just incredibly fatigued again, and I was becoming really emotional and irritable, and I just thought, oh, what's going on with me now?
So we were both worried, is the brain tumor coming back? We decided to do a blood test. They called me with the results that evening, and then I called Liz at home.
Liz, I have some great news for you. You're pregnant. Congratulations. I literally just fell over and I said, are you sure you're looking at the right chart?
I was really excited, and I was very glad to be able to call her.
I couldn't believe it. I was finally going to be a mom.
It was one of the best days of my life. I mean, to go through what we went through, to have all that happen and to have something, magical come out of it was awesome.
A year and a half after her daughter's birth, Liz finds out she's pregnant again, this time with a son.
So I feel doubly blessed that I have these two miracles. They saved my life, because had I not been trying to have a family, I would never have discovered that I had a brain tumor, or it would have been discovered too late.
With Liz, there was no reason to suspect a brain tumor just because she wasn't having cycles. Nobody would have thought brain tumor at that point.
It just makes you wonder how many healthy people are out walking around harboring a life-threatening illness.
In Liz's case, she was fortunate they discovered it when they did.
The brain accommodates to a tumor growing slowly, and it will accommodate, and then it can't accommodate anymore, and then it can compromise the brain to the point where the patient can't survive.
Today, Liz's prognosis is good. Still, she must continue to get yearly MRIs to make sure the tumor does not return.
The longer the MRI scans are stable, showing no evidence of recurrence, the better the prognosis. I mean, I would say at this point, the prognosis is very good.
It's good to see her thriving. It's good to see her enjoying her kids.
Hannah and Hunter, what can I say? They're healthy, and they continue to be the blessings in my life who saved my life.
All right. How did you do? Drop a comment below and let us know. At what point did you first suspect the diagnosis? What were the key clues that tipped you off? If you didn't get it, don't worry. Even experienced physicians have missed these rare or tricky cases. Although they missed it, you won't. This is where future doctors come to think differently. If you need help to build strong, personalized systems for USMLE success, check out USMLE StepMate. We've got the structure, support, and strategy you need to turn clinical clues into exam confidence. Like and be sure to subscribe if you'd like more content like this.